Hello, Murky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to a special show today about the game Identity. If you've never heard of it, don't fear, because neither has anybody else. That's why we're doing the show. I'd like to welcome a couple of people here with me. I'd like to welcome John, who's also known as Paratus off of Asylum, and Motown. How you guys doing?
Hey, what's up there? I'm Motown, Sean Valentine, and the guy you'll hear in just a moment is John Paratus Vanderswet. Uh, I
Yeah,
think
I'm.
he's here.
I
There
am.
you
Yep,
go.
yep, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
See, I'm John.
Okay.
I'm the founder of Asylum Entertainment and also the project manager for now for Identity.
And
Excellent.
Motown is the community manager.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, okay, I got. I'm going to show you guys who are watching this right now a little bit of video here. We're talking about the game Identity, and this is a game that is born out of the fun, the carnage, the mayhem of Asylum. And so, could one of you guys give us just kind of an overview of what is Identity and why should we care?
All right, sure. Identity is a RPG multiplayer that's based on really freedom to do anything. At the base, I guess you could describe it as sort of a cops and robbers MMO. Anyone that's played on our Armored Life servers kind of has a good idea of the general direction that things are heading. But we're taking it so much further than that. So you can live in this world. There's countless things that you can do at any given time if you want to work on, making money and building a name for yourself, or get into gang warfare and live in the action quite a bit. One of the big differences between this and a game that I guess one of the closest it can be compared to anyway would be Grand Theft Auto. I would say right now.
Mm-hmm. So this is like Grand Theft Auto MMO online type of thing.
Yeah. It's got a little bit of everything. It's kind of like a mix between GTA Online multiplayer and Euro Truck Simulator, and and yeah, it's a true role play game.
Yeah, the feel and the focus is very different from Grand Theft Auto, though. Where Grand Theft Auto is more of like an arcadey action game where you just kind of run around causing trouble. This is
Mm-hmm.
more focused on the actual player interaction and RPG element of the game. So um, we take kind of a more realistic approach when it comes to things like the weapons and the vehicles. Uh, if you played Arma, kind of in that direction right there when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to combat and everything.
So one of the beautiful things about Asylum is the role playing. That people get in there and they play their part, and sometimes they do it insanely well, and just the fun of that. It's these kind of games, they take us to an alternate place, and Asylum has always taken it to a higher level. Nowhere else have I felt like, maybe I really was that badass. And, then, and I see things like I've watched some other people play Asylum, like Lyric, for example, that he'll hop on and he'll just walk up to a random person and be like, "Hey, you got a car? Let's go out and harvest some weed," you know, and starts bantering with the other people, and they they're immediately back on. They're not these dolts that just go, "Hey, are you Lyric?" They play the part. And do you envision that this greatness of Asylum is going to translate over into Identity?
Those are our favorite moments in playing on Asylum Altis Life. The parts where you get pulled over by a police car. The guy gets out, he tells you to put your hands up, and you either cooperate or you don't.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it is completely our intention to translate that into Identity. It is a role play game. There's a few things that uh, RDM and VDM, can't be controlled at that level at such a big scale.
Mm-hmm.
So there's mechanics in place to encourage players to play the game the way that they're expected to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, one of the great things about a game like this too is that the freedom to do anything, and that always translates into weird, unexpected things happening, right? Like you might go out to do that weed run, and just somewhere along the way, you run into some guy, and a whole different thing that you never planned on could come out of that, right? And that is always so much fun for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whole different thing that you didn't plan on, like the cops show up. I,
yeah.
I I can tell you that the first time I ever got arrested in Asylum, I was a little bit beside myself because I was like, you know, I was going through my head of, do I lie or do I just tell the truth and hope that they're lenient on me? And this is that's the kind of dilemma that you don't typically end up with in a video game. You don't end up with, what are my ethics? What are my morals here? What do I need to do to survive? And I think that one of the people that introduced something like that was really good was Richard Garriott, but way back in the Ultima series, when there was kind of these ethics and morals that he introduced into the game, and it was like groundbreaking that nobody had ever done that before, and thought that it was a really dumb idea, but then it worked really good. And while Asylum is so much different than any of the Ultima stuff, I think that it is very unique in how it the interaction there, and how people play their part, how people are um, able to do things that they wouldn't do in real life, or that they do things that they do in real life, and that's why they're so good at it.
Right, absolutely. We've thought about that too. You mentioned that people, they won't act the way that you would expect them to in a specific roleplay scenario, and we thought of that. And one of the ways that we plan to ensure that people get that experience is allowing private servers that can be hosted and seen in the server browser alongside our official servers, so that we can give them more control over safe zones, or whitelisting police officers, things like that. Things like anything that we can to help them make their server community original and their own brand.
So okay, so that leads me on to that you're talking about here, that this isn't just going to be something that's just run by you guys. You are going to make this available for people to build their own virtual worlds.
Renting, yes. There won't be
Renting,
any
okay.
modding. At least we don't have any plans for modding right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll allow people to rent servers from us. Um, I believe that uh, I'm not really sure like how that works. Paratus could tell you though, whether they are hosted by us or.
They're going to
Um,
be hosted through partner companies, some of the big names that you've probably seen before when it comes to game server hosting. So in there, you're going to have control if you rent a server over all kinds of configurations. Like, I mean, pretty much anything we can allow you to change, we will give that option. And really, the plan there is to kind of see where the community goes with this. We're going to have our official servers that have that rule set that we think is ideal, the one that we think that most people are going to really enjoy. But then at the same time, too, any game that has modding has shown that when you give somebody, or a lot of people rather, control over changing the mechanics or the rules of the game, it's very possible that somebody else might come up with a certain way to play the game that's going to be more fun than what we even thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
when you have a huge group of people like that, you never know. They always come up with some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Um, so okay, I'm just trying to think of um, so I guess that leaves me with the question: Will do you have plans to hopefully allow modding or not?
could you repeat that again?
Do you have plans to possibly allow modding or not?
to allow modding.
Yes.
Right now we're not looking at modding. I don't think modding will be a part of it. I mean, you
Okay.
could totally hack the game, you know.
Hey.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, um,
But
yeah,
no,
we're
see,
not looking at modding right now.
what we want to do is give enough options and control to server owners where they
Mhm.
can essentially, in a sense, mod their game. They can change the way that it plays. So we
Okay.
want to do that, but we want it to be done through like a nice, simple user interface that you don't need to be a programmer to, do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about some different areas. What kind of options are there going to be for your character? What's your character going to look like? And will there be female characters?
Definitely
Yes,
be female.
there will definitely be both male and female characters. You'll be able to right from the start choose your outfit. Uh, there will be a number of customization options. You'll be able to fully customize your character, and once you're in game, it doesn't end there. There are stores all over the place, clothing stores, different brands of clothing stores, high end, low, middle class. Um,
We even have some sort of, I guess you call them achievements that can unlock certain customizations. Like, for example, one being achievement you get from doing tasks in prison. The prison in this game is very different than what you saw in Altis Life, where it's sort of its own economy and game in its own. And you can unlock a tattoo, for example, in there. And that tattoo can only be achieved by people who spent a good deal of time in prison and done certain things. So
Like the teardrop type stuff.
along those
Yeah,
lines,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be interesting. So some people are going to want to get in prison.
I imagine some people will probably spend more time than they need to in prison. They'll have the option to stay if they want to. I mean, when your sentence is up, you can leave at any time, but I imagine some people will enjoy that enough that they might not.
Hmm. Yeah. So could I envision that somebody would be, like the head inmate, in there and putting the beat down on everybody that doesn't submit to their will?
Probably something along those lines. The way it works is we have prison gangs, and the prison gangs are they're not really controlled the way that a player gang is out in the actual world. The prison gangs are sort of like like a server owned kind of structure that you can join into. We did actually a lot of research on prison life from other people who have been in the big prisons. So we try to emulate as much as we could what it's like to be in there, and then, well, to an extent, to keep it fun, right? But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Will there be soap?
on a rope,
Well,
perhaps.
Yeah. How? Okay. Let me ask this. Have you guys seen the new version of Rust? And Rust, there, you start out, you are completely naked. I mean, your junk's flopping around there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
will there be? I mean, already the game obviously has got. If it was related to a movie, it'd be rated R, because there's all the drugs going on, all the violence and everything.
Exactly.
Okay, so can your
yeah,
characters get naked?
uh, you know, uh, we're looking into that still, whether that's appropriate or not. However, you're right though. We do have drugs everywhere, so it's safe to assume that like nudity doesn't really like change anything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we're definitely for being controversial, taking risks, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's a decision that we make down the road.
Yeah,
With nudity,
we do have a
you know.
little bit of experience with that too, and that Mortal Online being another MMO based on Unreal Engine I worked on in the past did have full nudity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You come from Ultima Online, so you're pretty familiar with that sort of game. Imagine that
Mm-hmm.
in 3D with full nudity flopping all over the place.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
ran into some issues for them.
Well, I wonder,
yeah,
so
you know,
Twitch obviously allows Rust with the nudity, but I wonder if they would allow women topless, if that would draw the line for them. I mean, it seems kind of
right.
odd because in many cultures, women topless is much better than men bottomless. you know,
Yeah. you
but
know, the concern that we have, at least, the concern that we have for about nudity with male and females, is definitely sexual harassment.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a role playing game. It's not a hack and slash. Where nudity is just like a feature thrown in to attract attention. Like some games have done in the past. This is role playing, and people can get pretty creative with their role play when nudity is involved, and like we wouldn't want to see somebody harassing a female, claiming that they're raping them. You know,
There was
so
already in Asylum. There's
yeah,
enough of male on male with that, which is a
right,
little bit
right.
uncomfortable. Yes.
Enough
Yeah.
that
So,
we actually had to add a rape charge to the police database
oh
on
goodness.
Asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that is something that we do kind of want to avoid. And at the same time, if we were to go that route, I don't think there's really any direct plans to do that right now for the reasons we're talking about. But if we
Mhm.
were, it would definitely be an option that you could toggle on your client so that you would not see anybody else doing that, right? You would have the option to hide that, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about you mentioned police and a charge for that. So tell me what is it like to be a criminal, and what is it like to be law enforcement in Identity?
Okay, so being a criminal, you have a multitude of like uh, stuff to do at your disposal. For instance, you could go out into the woods and cook meth. And to do that, you might need to rob a chemical factory to get those components. And to rob that chemical factory, that's not just something you could do by yourself. Without putting yourself at a lot of risk, so you're gonna have to get a group of friends together to help you pull that off. um, get those chemicals, deliver them wherever you need to go to cook the meth. I know you saw some of that the screenshots, the camper out in the woods.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
the concept artist that made that, his name is Alexander Pavlovsky.
Lenko.
Pavlemko. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Alexander Pavlemko. The guy is an amazing artist. Everything we asked him to draw up, he uh, did so perfectly. You can see on the screen right there, the clothing options for the males.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like absolutely stunning job. He captured our idea for character customization, um, and different types of jobs you can do perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
And
police side of things is, oh, I mean, a lot of fun. Personally, I love the police side of things in Altis Life. That's where I like to play myself. Most people, I think, stick to the Civ side, but we're taking it so much further too, right? I think I touched on it in the videos. I don't really remember at this point, but there's a whole different progression paths within the police force and other careers as well, where instead of just being a cop and moving up the police ranks like you do on the life servers now, there's going to be specialties that you can work into, which is something that we did add recently with precincts on the life servers. But we take it so much further in identity, in that you can become a SWAT officer, or you could become a detective, and you actually have proper abilities and reason to use them when you do that. I mean, as a detective, you can check fingerprints on weapons that have you found, and as a SWAT officer, you'll get called into things like bank robberies and given all kinds of cool special equipment. So the list goes on. There's really so much more depth to the police side of things and to the criminal side now.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about ownership of property, like houses and such.
okay, so if you own a apartment, that is instanced. Anybody can have an apartment. There can be an infinite amount of apartments. You can invite your friends over to your house or apartment, have them walk around inside with you, um, and just share social activities with them inside the comfort of your house. Nobody can uh, come into your house without your permission. That's not an option. We won't allow people to break into your house, steal stuff. Um, that's completely instanced off toward you and the people that you want to invite in. Now, houses specifically are placed across the map, and they are available as a single instance. You know, you can, only a single person can own or rent a house
Mm-hmm.
at any given time, and you know there will be uh, some sort of user interface option to check out the housing market, see which houses are available on sale, um,
Mm-hmm. And what would be
and you
the
can obtain a house.
what would be the advantages of owning a home as opposed to your apartment?
Bragging rights and location. You know, you could housing. You know, you might find a house that is on the map that specifically in a prime place. You know, your favorite hunting area is nearby,
Mm-hmm.
or the meth lab is just down the street. You know, that's uh, that's why you might own a house.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be, you know, they're going to be lucrative. Everybody's going to want a house. However, if you own an apartment, they're going to be in certain specific areas on the map. You know, mostly cities, and you know, the city might be a default spawn area anyway. So just owning an apartment, you know, it's kind of the same as just uh, being having just spawned in, uh, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot
Uh,
of cool things you can do with the apartment, though. I mean, when it comes to actual utility of the furniture, place to
mhm.
store clothing, storage of any kind of items you have. But another advantage too, if you have a house out in the world, I guarantee you, I'm gonna have some people make fun of me saying that word. But in the world, your homes can be also set up for rent. So if you're sort of like a tycoon type person, you can own
Mm-hmm.
multiple properties and just rent them out for some, constant income coming in from other players that rent them.
Well, okay. Yeah. So there's opportunity for entrepreneurs in the game.
Definitely,
Mhm.
in quite a few places, really.
Okay. What about
We'd really like to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well? Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. We'd really like to see a player-driven economy. We want to see people, you know, make in-game profit off of this. Not something that's prices driven by our developers. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, we we want to see uh, a functioning, moving, dynamic marketplace where prices are fluctuating depending on supply and demand. Uh, Specifically, what I mean by that is delivery jobs, for instance. You know, I mentioned the Euro Truck Simulator game a moment ago. Uh, you know, you might be able to get into a semi truck, fill the back of the trailer up with goods, and deliver it on location wherever it needs to go, wherever it needs to be sold at, um, so that the players that own those businesses can sell that stock. And you know, if that job market isn't available, if the contracts aren't listed for drivers wanting to deliver those goods, uh, that could be supplemented with uh, automated jobs that the developers have set up there when there's no demand. Um,
Okay.
Those contracts he's talking about, those truck contracts, the cool thing is that when they're, the first ones he's talking about, taking them to the shops and stuff, he's referring to actual crafted items that people have made.
yes.
So these are actual real player made items that you are transporting for income. You're taking them to the shops for sale, being from a factory. See, a lot of items that are crafted at the higher tiers are going to be crafted in factories, which can also be owned by a player, any kind of business guy that wants to make some money off its use. And so what he's talking about is when these items are crafted, transport drivers will actually bring them to the shops in the cities to be sold. And because everything is based on supply and demand, the prices for each item will fluctuate based on how much of that is available in any given location. So you can also make money then transporting something from one store. Let's say you want to
Mm-hmm.
buy a stack of T-shirts, and there's not any T-shirts for sale in another store, you can actually take those to the other location and make a profit.
And can you be a thief and try and hijack that shipment?
It wouldn't be, an Asylum type game if you couldn't, really.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know how I'm going to make my money. I'm going to hijack all them T-shirts. How large is the world?
For Arma 3 players, it's relative to the size of Altis. It's a pretty big map. And you also have to remember that there's no aircraft. At least we don't have any plans for aircraft right now. So we don't want the world to feel small to players in the sky. So we're putting everybody down on the ground. They'll be traveling by train, by truck, car, bicycle, and it'll feel like a very populated world. But for those that understand and have played Arma 3, the world of Altis, and it's roughly that same size.
Okay.
I think that map is listed at 64.
Yeah, that's what
I think.
Yeah.
That would include the ocean around it probably as well, but.
So, speaking of vehicles and everything, what kind of vehicles? I mean, you talk about bicycles, cars, and stuff. I mean, what all are we going to be able to do with our vehicles? Obviously, they can get us from point A to point B, but what more can we do with them?
Grief other players.
Hey.
No, I'm kidding. You'll be able to do certain jobs with these. You'll be able to transport drugs that need to be processed over to the drug processing areas, back to the drug dealers to be sold. You'll be actually able to stock up the trunk of your vehicle and see the objects fit into the trunk in an invisible grid. There'll be 3D objects sitting in the trunk, and you'll be able to fit those in however you can, until they fit the way that you want them to, and you can rotate them, or do whatever you need to do to get them in the trunk, and deliver them using any size vehicle you want. A bigger vehicle will be able to hold more, a smaller vehicle hold less.
Right. Hey.
They could also be used in, I guess, in gang warfare and something like that. They might come in pretty handy for shooting from.
Yeah, and racing as well. Racing is a thing that we have planned, similar to how it might work on Asylum. Yeah, if you've played on.
So I think maybe we just lost Sean there, Motown. Hey.
All right, sorry, my internet cut out there for a second.
Oh, okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Motan, are you still with us?
Yeah, did I lose connection there?
Yeah, it was. Okay. We had a little hiccup there, but let's just continue going on here.
Okay.
What is the vision for weapons?
The closest. It depends on how you want to discuss that. I mean, if you're talking about mechanics and how they feel to use, how they operate, the closest game would, of course, be Arma. We're going for that really realistic feel to the weapons and player damage from bullets too. So, I related this earlier to Grand Theft Auto, and we did not go that route at all. We're talking like real world weapons.
You're talking more on the simulation side than on the game, less,
definitely.
More on the simulation and less on the arcade.
Yes, and you're going to see a lot of handguns and small arms, more than you will see automated weapons. Automated weapons we expect to be lucrative and rare. You might see those for a big robbery job, a bank robbery, or a Federal Reserve robbery. But you're not going to see the average person running around with a AK-47.
Okay. how about
because
even bigger stuff? How about grenades, landmines, rocket launchers?
no real military weapons. If we do any military style weapons, there'll be you know either civilian variants of those weapons or um, just the basics, so like the M4, the AK-47 that we're all used to seeing in
Okay.
games.
So no
Yeah, see,
grenades, but I'll have to make
Yeah.
my own pipe bombs.
you and
Yeah.
your speed bombs, we implemented that based on your idea.
That went
Oh,
well.
they're a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes, I did get hit by one of those one
the
day.
thing,
So
the thing is, when it comes to explosives and that sort of weapon, is we have to keep in mind that while we want people with these AK-47s and everything that they've probably put a lot of money and effort into, they need to be powerful. But we can't ever have it totally unbalanced to the point that your weapon is just an automatic win against somebody with a pistol, right? So
right.
player skill always needs to be able to factor in and be an important part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you imagine that the server population is going to be on each world?
So for the server population, on the technical side of things, we're not very limited in that we can put in probably more people than we want to. So it's really a little too early to say because we have to do a little more testing in population density. We want to basically cap the servers where we feel it's a good mix of people per square foot. We want to make sure that there's the right amount of people in the world to feel alive, but
The
not
right
be
amount for
overcrowded,
maximum fun.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a little too early to say. We have to do more testing with that to see where we're going to go.
Okay.
I imagine early on too, like on the original release, we'll probably bump up the servers a little bit higher too, since we're going to have like obviously that influx of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can expect this somewhere around 100 to 400 people on a server. At least on the official servers, we wouldn't want to put 3,000 people in a relatively dense area together. So while that is possible to do, we would put those limitations on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
so that things don't get too busy around the world.
So I see that this is Unreal 4 engine.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's probably going to look pretty beautiful. What kind of support will there be? Will we, for instance, support like third-party stuff like the Oculus Rift?
Definitely. Yes. The Oculus Rift will be supported on launch day for sure. We're putting in some actual custom features based on the Rift 2. For example, independent head tracking that you have in Arma will be there for everybody, but it's a big part of the game for any kind of Rift user since you need to be able to look around without turning your character. In addition to that, there will be a Rift-specific user interface that's a lot more minimal. We prefer minimal user interfaces anyway. We don't like a lot of clutter on your screen at any time, but for the Rift, we're going to make sure there's very little unless you need to see it, because really when you have that kind of 3D overlay over your face, user interface elements floating there is pretty immersion breaking.
Mm-hmm. What about other controls such as steering wheels and flight
Absolutely.
sticks?
Yeah, those are definitely a priority for us. We think that's very important for people who are who immersion goes hand in hand with role play. So flight flight sticks. If you want to drive a car with that, that's fine. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure a lot of people want to use a steering wheel, and we'll definitely that'll definitely be a priority coming up here. Making things work with those controllers.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's going to be a lot of people that love racing sims, right? That probably just want to spend a lot of their time doing illegal street racing with other people. In these sort of events like that, even paintball, we have betting mechanics too, so that you can make money doing it if that's what you like to do.
That sounds cool. So speaking of money, so let's talk about two parts here. What's the game gonna cost, or is it free to play?
Well, to start off, right now we have it listed at 10 Canadian on Kickstarter in order to get game access. that gives you what we call the passport stamp. The passport stamp is essentially your access into the game world. So when you buy the game, or rather, let's say you download it before buying it, you can still make your character, but you can't log into the actual world until you have your passport stamp for the part of the world that you're playing in, which for now is only going to be one island. Um, so that there, we don't really know exactly, but I would put it somewhere between $10 and $15 is my guess for after route. Now, if you get in on Kickstarter, it's 10 Canadian right now, which ends up being like $8 something cents American.
Okay. Do you envision a monthly fee?
We probably won't have a monthly fee. It'll be a one-time fee for the passport purchase, and you'll be good to go.
Mhm. How about purchasing anything else for the game? Is there any other DLC or assets?
Microtransactions.
Yeah.
Any microtransactions that we do will be purely cosmetic. We will not sell any weapons. It is very important to us that we do not offer anything that is pay to win. We've played the same games that everybody else has played, all the same MMOs. We've seen the pay to win models that so many games have broken our hearts over, and it is that important to us to not do the same thing. Um, so
Mhm.
it'll be there will not be anything that you could use at your advantage against another player sold on our marketplace.
Yeah,
It'll
you will be able to buy some things like say unique paint jobs for your vehicles or certain pieces of clothing,
Mhm.
along those lines. So
Stuff that doesn't
cosmetic.
affect power balance.
Exactly.
exactly, yeah, purely
Right.
cosmetic.
It just makes you look cooler, so you think you've got more
Yeah,
power.
yeah.
So you can look powerful but still be
Right,
weak.
right, right. Yeah, pockets are empty, even though I'm wearing this gold watch. Okay, well, I think that okay. So for those of you watching on seeing this on YouTube, there is a link in the description. Those of you in Twitch live right now, it's popping up in chat every few minutes, and so getting in now, you get you're going to get more bang for your buck and support the development of this. I know that I already put in my my I don't know. It's not a donation. It's my pledge. Whatever it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
So I made sure that I'm going to get access. So um, the what about well, let's see. Is there anything that I haven't asked you guys about that you think is really important to identity?
Nothing that comes to mind. We've had a lot of questions, but you actually asked mostly what other people have been asking us regularly too. So I think
Mm-hmm.
you've covered what most people were wondering about.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, there've been a couple questions I've seen in the chat here that we did not go over. Taxes will be controlled by the governor. You'll be able to elect a person into office. Your guild or company, as we might call it, can represent a candidate for office. And that candidate, someone the other day asked me about political parties, and although we don't have any plans for political parties, maybe your guild can represent your political party, and your candidate can be, your electee, um,
Okay.
and so that person can control taxes. He can legalize marijuana. There's a couple other things that he can do as well. Um, we're still working on what types of things will allow the governor to control. We've seen, you've played Ultima Online, so we've seen
Mm-hmm.
how that might have quite an impact on the economy. So uh, we obviously don't want to kill our game, so we're being very careful with what the governor can do. However, taxes with houses, if you don't pay your taxes, you'll lose it, and some other player can purchase that house through the real estate market that'll be available through some interface. And
Mm-hmm. Will this be available on Mac at all?
Yeah, that is a something that we're definitely um, looking into. You know, there's definitely some concern balancing with OpenGL and DirectX. So we're definitely trying to make that happen.
Yeah, we
And
will. We'll be on Mac. Probably Linux too, actually.
Cool.
I mean, if we go the Mac route, which is in the design, it will be done. Then going Linux is really not that much more effort. So,
Right. Right.
right.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you.
all right. Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
everybody
you.
should go forth right now. Click that link. Go get your pledge in. What is it? At least $10 in order to get the initial access.
$10 to get your access when a game is released, and 25 if you want to get into the first phase of closed beta.
Yeah. Well, I think we all want to be in beta. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
We won't do an alpha test, at least not a public alpha test. We'll invite who we need to invite to get the bugs worked out. But we won't launch this game before it's feature complete. You know, and so some people have been asking us if we will be doing alpha testing before private beta, and that's a no.
Yeah, the closed beta is the closest thing to early access, but we're not doing early access like most games have been doing lately on Steam. We don't want to put out anything there that is not a good representation of the final game.
Hallelujah.
So the closed beta, the one that you will get access to from Kickstarter, is going to be the very first public testing phase. So if you want to get in, that's the fastest way to get there.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So I'm going to be there, guys, for sure. And I'll come with guns a-blazing. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you taking the time today. And I really look forward to the next. This is like the next level of Asylum, except you guys can really control how everything proceeds from here on out, and you're not dependent on the ARMA engine.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that excites us more than anything else.
Absolutely. You know, the one of the things that we originally set out to do was create a modded server, and then to kind of go along with the Asylum community and Arma 3. But then as these other communities started popping up, beating us to the punch, we decided to take it a step further, and and we're definitely confident that we're gonna pull it off. So
Cool. Okay, well, thanks, guys, and we shall everybody get over there right now, donate, and I'll see you there. Take care, guys. Thank you.
All right, see you.
peace.